This is why most Aussie kids will be broke by 25 years old, and we pretend it's kinda normal. Alright, hear me out. Let me say something that's gonna make a lot of parents kinda uncomfortable. Most Aussie kids who live in Australia right now, they aren't bad with money. And they're not lazy, they're not stupid, they're just being raised in homes where money is never explained, only spent. Like for example, we hand them the tap and go cards, the canteen money, the in-app purchases, and the Uber Eats like it's oxygen. And then we act shocked when they grow up anxious, impatient, and financially lost by 25 years old. Yeah, that's right guys, I said it, that's not a kid's problem, that's an adult avoidance problem. What I'm trying to say in this video is we're teaching consumption before discipline and calling it love. In today's property roast, for once, I'm not talking about property, not shares, and not inheritance. I'm going to talk about what comes before all of that even matters. Because if you're a parent, especially a migrant parent, like a first generation Aussie migrant parent, if your kids don't understand money at 7, yes, I said it, I'm telling you right now, they'll fear it at 27. So today in this video, I'm going to break down the 6 money habits I actually run at home with my own 2 kids. I'm going to talk about why pocket money needs structure, not vibes, and why kids must be allowed to waste money early, and why borrowing, yes, when you're borrowing money to your kids, should hurt just a tiny little bit. And why budgeting must be physical, not theoretical, and how my kids literally invest in my mortgage broking business and book projects like, this book we've written together, Nana the Naughty Savings Jar, which is on Amazon and on my website, and why giving and early entrepreneurship skills complete the loop. Now guys, this is not the first time I've talked about this. This similar video that I posted about a few years ago on TikTok, like over here, it crossed 1 million views. And mostly are parents who agree with the types of hacks that I'm going to share with you today. I'll leave a link to that video because the comments were wild. Like even some parents are saying, oh, why didn't anyone teach me this? And some are saying, oh, I'm going to try this tonight. And it is that same pressure a few years ago with a lot of DMs coming to my socials, finally pushing me to write this book, finally out right now. The 6 secret money hacks for kids. And as you can see inside, a lot of pages, it's compact, it's got table of contents and practical tips that I'll be sharing to you right now. So firstly guys, pocket money or / allowances that I talk about in this book only works if rules are brutal and clear. Here's exactly how it works in my house. My 2 kids, who are in year 3 and year 5 at the moment, 7 and 10 years old, they get $8 a week as an allowance. They get it every Monday, same day, no negotiation. And the rule is very simple, guys. If you spend all that in the 2 days, then the next 5 days, there's no money. No excuse, no mercy, and no, oh, but dad. But then a lot of you helicopter parents will be like, oh my God, Q, they're only 7 and 10. Yes, I know, guys, but they still understand what I'm trying to teach them, which are 2 important things that my father taught me that set me apart from the rest of the other brokers that you meet today. Self-discipline and patience. What I'm trying to say is, money without consequences teaches nothing. Let me give you a case study. Before I published this book on Amazon and obviously released it to the world, I gave these books to a few clients, like trusted mates and very close clients to read, who had children similar to my kids' age. And one parent who read my book tried this with their 7-year-old. Week 1, the kids had a canteen binge. But by Wednesday, they had 5 days of 0 because they spent it all. They went crazy with it. But week 2, suddenly snacks were planned. And then by week 3, money was left over. Now, of course, you guys must be thinking, hey, Q, you can't buy much with $8 at the school canteen. Yes, I get it. I'm not saying they use the $8 to buy their bloody lunch and drinks, right? I'm talking about snacks or sometimes going to the corner store and buying miscellaneous crap that kids buy. But the concept is the idea of giving your kids an allowance, giving your kids money, and especially if you have 2 kids, for example, I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, they have the same money given to them, same $8, but different outcome. That is your way to judge what is your kid's personality reaction to money. If you don't suss it out early, and you wait until they're bloody 25 to suss it out, that's too bloody late. So this is my blunt take, guys. For those of you guys who give your kids money like willy-nilly, like it's not an allowance, it's just like here's $50, here's $100, buy whatever you want, you're shielding your kids from small discomforts now, which guarantees bigger pain later with interest. And I'm not saying, hey, just give your kids $8. $8 is just an introductory amount. And once your kids understand the consequences, and once you set your kids on an allowance system and you introduce them to this basic concept of money, you gotta let them experience the consequences. Which means, folks, our lovely parents out there, you gotta let them make the small mistakes. Which goes into the second part of this video. You must let your kids waste money on dumb stuff. And this is where the parents ruin the lesson, right? Like for example, my kids love lollies, ice blocks, canteen junk. I let them spend it on it. I don't control it. I don't lecture them. I don't say, oh, that's a waste. Because the lesson isn't the spending, it's the absence afterwards. Say for example, after we bought them lunch, which usually goes through our app, and then the canteen lady gives them their lunch, with the $8 allowance that we give them, and obviously with inflation, maybe in the future when you're watching this video, it might be $20. As you all know, Australia's cost of living is crazy. But say the allocated allowance that you give them, and say in that week, they blow it all. They spent it all. There's nothing left. All I do is when the kids come back to me for more money, I go, nah, kids, that's your allowance. You're done for this week. And then the feeling they get afterwards, that, oh, really, Dad? That's the teacher. And that's what I talk about in this children's book. This is a picture book, which I written about last year, and I written it with my kids. It teaches about the savings jar that blew all his money. But anyway, back to the video. There's another case study from another client of mine that read my book, which is a 6 Secret Money Hacks for Kids. She told me, hey Q, before reading your book, she told me, hey Q, I used to give my kids an allowance. But my mistake when I was introducing the concept of money to my kids, I used to top up what they're missing. And I always explain to myself, you know, I gave them, for example, $10. And in a day or two, they spent it all. And when they come back to ask me for more money, you know, I just top it back up. But I justify it to myself, well, it's just once. But after she went through my book and going through my explanation and my own experience and examples given in this book, she stopped. And within 2 weeks, her kids' impulse spending dropped hard. So this is my opinion, guys. Rescuing your kids from bad decisions doesn't make them safe. It just makes them dependent. So right now, if you understand that concept, that it is your parents' role to play the tough love and make your kids feel that pain, we'll introduce the concept of borrowing. So in this third part of the video, I'm going to introduce the concept of borrowing money to your kids. Yes, my kids are in year 3 and year 5. And yes, I'm a mortgage broker. And yes, I help people borrow money from the bank for a living. So I brought that concept back home. Call it whatever you want, occupational hazard, whatever it is. But this simple trick really changed my 2 kids' attitude towards money. How it works is very simple. For example, I give my kids an allowance. For example, $8 a week, both kids. But I give my kids the ability to ask for an advance. And they can also borrow, which allows them to ask for an extra $8. But if they borrow early, for example, they ask for the advance after receiving their set $8 allowance, next week, I deduct $2 from them. So what I say to my kids is, hey boys, if you took $8 in advance, you don't get $16 next week. You get $14 because that $2, that $2, that's interest. And right now you might be thinking to yourself, Q, you're gone brokering crazy. You brought your work back to home. But guys, think about this. Yes, I'm an unconventional crazy dad. I do holistic crazy stuff, as you can see from my previous posts. Like I do outside the box thinking. But when I did this to my kids, suddenly they stopped and thought to themselves. And this was only after 2 weeks, right? When they received their money on Monday and they thought, hey, I'm going to ask for advance as well. Both my boys, especially my youngest, who is a very wild kid, he's like, hey dad, you know what? I don't think I actually need this. Or maybe I could wait another week. Like one of my close friends that read my book, obviously, you know, I was just releasing it to my friends and my close clients so they can quietly roast me before I actually publish the final book, which is finally published and improved with the additional feedback. One of the parents told me their kid, after she applied the allowance and also allowing for the advances, their 8-year-old actually stopped asking for advances entirely after 2 weeks of that setup. And in the kid's word, she was like, hey, it kind of felt cheaper than borrowing more money. And guys, isn't that great? In that simple concept of just giving $8 or $10 to your kids and introducing the idea they can actually ask for advance, they can borrow the money. And obviously you have to gamify the system. Your kids learn to have a sharper relationship with money. So this is my savage take, guys. If kids learn about this simple interest concept from a parent, for example, yourself, they won't need to learn it later from a contract they don't understand. And guys, that's how you end the generational poverty curse in your family. For example, this t-shirt I made over here, it's ending generational poverty. And this is a Chinese word over here, right over here, 穷. That's poor, 穷 in Cantonese, or 穷 in Mandarin, right? What I'm trying to do in this channel and also through my books and all this stuff over here, right? Especially this, Amazon winning book, Keep Calm Mortgage On, which most of my clients and fans have. The concept is to spread that knowledge in your family, in your kids' minds right now, planting that small karmic seed. If you don't start teaching these basic money concepts to your kids when they're 5, I'm telling you, by 25, they're more than 80% chance or in the likelihood of being bad with money. Now, right now, if you watch that far and you kind of get a bit of a concept on talk about with money and your kids' relationship with it, the next step is to make this visible. Remember, we're dealing with kids, like bloody kids. So this is where I talk about in the fourth part of this video, if you're still with me at the moment. Budgeting must be physical, guys, not theoretical. This is where I talk about the 4-jar system, especially in this book over here. Like over here on page 43, which is hack 3, the 4-jar system on chapter 3. Where I talk about the spend, save, invest, and gift jar. And in the book, in terms of introducing this concept to, say, newbie parents, you just put $2 in each. But then in real life, I'll show you my kids' jars, right? This is my youngest's jars, right? You have spend, save, and give, right? Spend, save, and give. And he's decorated with all his Pokemon stickers, right? And I'll show you the jars from my eldest, right? He's got his own individual jars, right? This is the spend jar. And this is the, he saw here a secret jar, but it's actually his invest jar, right? But if you want to know his save jar, which shows how different my youngest is to my eldest, this is his goddamn save jar, right? We had to get him a bigger jar because he's got like more than, I don't know, a few grand in here, right? My eldest, maybe because he's older, he's 10 years old, he loves saving money. Whilst for my youngest over here, you can see he's got a bit of money in the middle, right? But you can see his spend area over here. Oh, his spend area over here is nearly next to zero because he loves spending his money on treats. So yeah, guys, there's no apps, there's no spreadsheet. It's just actual old school jars. You don't need to buy like fancy, Mario Kart themed jars. You just can get those, reusable jars, maybe from your pasta sauce or whatever it is. Get the kids to decorate it, make it theirs. It's just a space to put money in. And actually based on that, I'm going to tangent a bit, right? This is what inspired me, inspired us as a family to write a book together. This is called Nana the Naughty Savings Jar, where we have an anti-hero, which is this jar over here, inspired by this jar. We sort of like characterized it. How this jar, Nana, is very bad with saving. However, through the story of this picture book, which some of you of my fans have purchased this book, it's called Show and Tell Day, which basically the owner of this jar, which Nana over here, needs to show his classroom how much he's saved. But Nana spent all his goddamn money. And obviously you gotta get the book to see what happened. But the lesson is how Nana over here spent all his money and learned the lesson of saving. So basically, guys, yes, I'm sort of plugging my books, but you don't need to get them to understand the concept of saving. All you need to do is get some jars, right? And get them to save, for example, $2, right? And for example, if every week they get to save $2, haphazardly, I give them 50 cents. And guys, listen, 50 cents, not $50, okay? So for all my rich lebos out there, don't give your kids $50. Or my Greek clients out there, I know you love your kids, you have a lot of kids. Don't spoil them with bloody $50, $100. We'll talk about 50 cents. The idea is for them to understand the concept of money, not for them to save up to go to JD and buy like another Air Nikes that cost $300, right? Because when you start to introduce this basic concept of money, the basic concept of saving, especially if you like, for example, gamify it, introduce characters, make it fun and stuff like that, and you see your kids saving money and you just, hey, look, every week you just leave that money there, you don't touch it. Dad's gonna give you 50 cents or dad's gonna give you $1, whatever it is. It's just a concept of you get rewarded by leaving your money there. So what happens is the kids who are basically, primitive monkey brain, they're like, oh, extra money from dad and mom if I leave this money there, right? Like they don't understand the concept of compounding yet, but I want them early to feel the reward, the dopamine hit, right? Like for example, my eldest, right? He started with just a few pennies. This is how much he saved up over the years, right? And I'm telling you right now, probably at this rate, when he hits 18, he probably would be ready to buy a property because he had the goddamn deposit. So yeah, guys, this is my savage opinion. Kids don't need complexity. They don't need these iPad games and spreadsheets and all this lecture from you. They just need to see visible trade-offs. So right now, for those of you parents who are like, hey Q, I'm already doing that in my family. Thank you for that information, but that's pretty basic. Okay, let me give you an extra hack. This is where I introduce the investment jar. For example, we have another jar. I can't find it. I don't know. My son's hid it somewhere. But say, for example, this is the investment jar, right? You might have a save jar You might have a gift jar and you might have a spend jar. But do you have an investment jar? So this is where in the fifth part of the video, where I'll talk about why I have an investment jar, a fourth jar. This is where I swear, I'm telling you, as a person who wants to end the generational poverty curse in my family, where I put a stop to my kids thinking like employees, right? They go to school and the schooling system teaches them to be employees of employers, to be slaves to the system. But like myself, as you know, I'm a holistic broker. I'm self-employed. I want my kids to have the option, if they hate their PAYG job, they always have an entrepreneurial mindset. So out of the $8 that we give them, $2 goes into the investment jar. And the more they invest in that jar, I double it. And yeah, guys, you'll be like, hey, Q, that's getting kind of complex. But like I said, it's for the parents who are doing this already and thinking, Q, I already know that. This is just a bit more complexity to the money concept to be taught to your children. So what happens is you have a fourth jar, and in that jar, when they put that money in, that money is for investing. And for them, they're investing in my business, my brokerage. Like this 15 years mortgage business I've been running so far, I created a small division called the educational department, which is the department that looks after spreading my knowledge on social media like this, and also writing books to educate noobs like yourself, whether it's in property or parenting, right? So in this department, we created a project called Nana Nodori Savings Jar. And what happens is I got my kids to invest their time and money in making this kid's finance book. And also, they also invested some money into this book as well. They're shareholders as well, right? And what happens is we make it a fun project. So what that actually involves in terms of my example is sometimes my kids help pack the orders. For example, when you guys, order this Keep Calm Mortgage On, which is in-house printed, my kids help to pack it and express post it to you guys. And sometimes they help go to Office Works or Kmart to buy the supplies. Or sometimes I tell the kids proactively, I'm like, hey, dad needs money for printing, or dad needs money for stock. Like, my kids don't need to understand balance sheets. They just need to know that I need some of their money from their jar, which isn't like, $2,000 or $3,000. Like, I don't ask them for that much money. I'll be like, hey, maybe I need $5 from you. I need $10 from you. Just a concept for them to think, hey, I have a jar that has money to invest. I can then take that money from that jar and give it to dad. And in the long run, after completing these projects, these books, as they see that it's coming out and I'm selling it on platforms like Amazon and eBay like that, there is money coming in. And they learned a simple concept. If you put money into a business and the business makes money, you get rewarded. I now tell my kids very simply, for every dollar that you invest, I give you back $2. Like, literally, that's how I treat my investors. But I know what you're thinking. Relax, those engineering and accounting parents. I'm not running a profit and loss statement with a 7-year-old, okay? I just explain it loosely. The sales comes in, cost goes out, and if there's a profit, the investors get paid. And also, thanks for the feedback from the parents who read my book and gave me feedback, which I added additional case studies. But some of them are like, hey, Q, I don't run a successful mortgage business. How do I introduce the concept of investing and putting into a business and writing books? I don't know any of that. But in the chapter 4, which says the hack for entrepreneurial skills, there's a lot of basic examples that you can do as a payslip earning parent, right? Like, one dad told me he's not very entrepreneurial, but he read that chapter and he applied some of the examples. And now right now, one of his daughters, 10-year-old, she stopped asking, oh dad, how much do I get this week? Rather, she started asking, hey dad, how can I help you make more money? See, that's a concept of being the employer, the business owner, the entrepreneur. Because I'm telling you right now, if you raise your kids to be employees, they will never ask that question. They'll just ask, oh, when do I clock off? How much do I get paid? What is my annual leave? Those people will be forever stuck in the 9-to-5 rat race. I'm telling you right now. Because I'm telling you right now, guys, my blunt take, and right now I know I'm ruffling some existing parents' feathers, but if your kids only see money that comes from allowances or wages, they'll never understand the ownership of money. And lastly, guys, in the last part of this video, I'm going to talk about the gift jar. Once you close the loop on all the other concepts I've talked about, for example, the last part is the entrepreneurship part, we need to complete the ecosystem of money by teaching your kids about the gift jar, right? The gift jar is giving money to charity. For example, at the end of the year, my kids choose where the money goes to. And for example, what happens, they like to do charity work, as you see in my previous post. My 2 boys were at the Kids Giving Back event, right? They did this one mitzvah, just to help the Bondi victims. Part of them giving their time to these charitable causes, which they do throughout the year. They also give from their gift jar. And obviously we don't force them, we just tell them the concept and they voluntarily gift the money. What we do is we tell them whatever you gift, we double it. And then we show them the impact. For example, you know, the money they give goes into the food they're chopping for the homeless, the needy. We show them, you know, you're providing clothes, shelter, and needed help. And I want them to experience it as they do those activities and help out, giving their time. And I watch those endorphins that hit them, that hit their brains. Because if you just solely focus on teaching your kids money skills, which is just saving and spending and entrepreneurship on that, and you just close the loop without teaching them about charity and giving back, I actually fear that you're producing a beast of a person that maybe doesn't have heart. And that's why, guys, the gift jar is very important. And obviously, I talk about that in my book, The 6 Secret Money Hacks for Kids, the right way to gift and the ideas and ways your kids can gift. And also, like, for example, on chapter 50 over here, right? The encouraging statements for the gift jar. Like stuff you can role play with your kids to explain to them why it's important to give. Because obviously kids are like, hey man, that's my money. Why should I bloody give it? Right? That was my kid's first reaction. So overall, guys, if you've watched thus far, you must be very, very awesome parents with awesome kids. And you really want to introduce this concept of money to your kids in a fun and non-lecturing manner. Then kudos to you guys for watching thus far. Because let's be real, guys, the mobs in the clown suits, you know who I'm talking about, right? They love talking about productivity, housing stress, the cost of living, but no one talks about childhood money behavior. Like, for example, the influencers, the gurus, the spruikers, they sell these get-rich fantasies, and it's usually the noobs who don't have any strong foundations in money because their parents never taught them, or maybe their parents are passing down the generational poverty curse in their minds, and plus the school system avoids the concept of teaching money conversations. They are the noobs that get sold. So yeah, guys, like I said earlier in this video, a few years ago, I shared these concepts online. That clip crossed over 1 million views. Like, it was literally viewed by everyone across the world. Parents said, oh, why didn't anyone teach me this? Or a lot of them are like, hey, I'm doing this tonight. And I got a lot of DMs from a lot of parents all over the world saying, hey, Q, can you talk more about this? Give me part 2. And guys, that's why I wrote the book, 6 Secret Money Hacks for Kids. And I didn't write this book so your kids can be rich quick, but it's just to make them calm and capable and confident with money. As I said in this book, I'm trying to raise a money smart generation, which is part of my goal of ending the generational poverty curse in your family. So if you read my best-selling Amazon book in educational finance, which is still holding its place, Keep Calm and Mortgage On, you probably recognize the style, right? Like, yeah, you know, the grammar isn't great. Yeah, you can tell it was written by a migrant Westie. You know, I was raised in Canberra. But you know what? Like, every video that I post here, it's real. It's got real examples. It's got my story infused in it. It's got my client stories infused in it. And the strategies I use for my 2 kids. So the real question is, if you watched thus far, do you want your kids to inherit your stress, to inherit your poverty curse that you're passing down unconsciously? Or you want your kids to unlearn all that and develop some early good money skills? If you do, guys, just grab my book. Oh, not this one. This one. The 6 Secret Money Hacks for Kids. It's on Amazon. But hey, if you're not ready, just hit the like button. You like this video, hit the follow button if you have more videos like this. And most importantly, smash the share button, because knowledge is power. And hopefully with all the knowledge that I'm giving over here, it will hopefully end the generational poverty curse in your family. And hopefully you can start building generational wealth, so your next generation doesn't need to work as hard as you're doing right now. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in another episode of That Property Bros.